All right, I don't want to get behind schedule, so I'm going to go ahead and start. People will probably continue to trickle in as we get things going here. If you're just now joining us, welcome. Good morning, probably good afternoon is more realistic, unless you're in Hawaii, and then I'm jealous. Even if you're in LA, it's still morning there, and I'm jealous because it's probably not cold like it is here in Chicago. But thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment if you can, and please share your city and state in the chat so that I can see where everyone is coming from. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm also going to just mute everyone for the first part of this lunch and learn. So if I accidentally mute you presenters, please feel free to unmute yourselves. We'll have a question and answer portion for you to be as loud as you would like. So just hold on to the end with us, and we'll make sure to try to answer as many questions that come up as possible. So welcome, all friends, to our very first Lunch and Learn of National Runaway Prevention Month. Today, we are going to be talking about how you should be leveraging NRPM, which is National Runaway Prevention Month, to drive community change. And I'm really excited about our panelists today. We have 3 different people joining us from literally around the country. We have Phil Kabler, who is the Chief Executive Officer of CDS and Family and Behavioral Health Services in Florida. We have Tracy Arp, who's the Associate Shelter Manager and RHY Coordinator for Advocates for Children. And then we have Kimberly Waller, who is the Associate Commissioner for the Family and Youth Services Bureau, which you'll probably hear me refer to throughout the call as FISB. If you hear the word FISB being tossed around from time to time and you can't quite grasp what that is the Family and Youth Services Bureau. So before we get into the fun stuff, I, of course, get the honor of talking to you all about something I hope you already know about, which is National Runaway Prevention Month and who we are at the National Runaway Safe Line. So if this is your first time hearing from me personally, my name is Christopher Smith. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for the National Runaway Safe Line. I also produce our podcast, which is called the Let's Talk Podcast. If you are going to be at the RITEC training in Seattle this November/December, then you will have a chance to meet us all in person. So hopefully we will see you there. First things first, I want to talk about National Runaway Prevention Month. If you are unfamiliar, or if you're hearing it by another name, such as National Runaway and Homeless Youth Prevention Month, or YHAM, what did that stand for? Youth Homelessness Awareness Month. There are a few different names, I support all of them. We all support all of them. It's all about shining a light on the experiences of young people who have run away or those experiencing homelessness. These people, as we all know, often remain invisible. A lot of people don't know about them. A lot of people have misconceptions about them. A lot of people don't know how to support them. So we all come together every year during November, no matter what you're calling it, to raise awareness of the issues that they're facing. So if you're not familiar with National Runaway Prevention Month, I highly encourage you to visit the National Runaway Prevention Month website, which is 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM. I'll drop that in the chat for you all so that you have a direct link. What's great about this website is that we have spent a good amount of time doing everything that we can to make sure that participating and helping spread awareness during NRPM is as easy as possible. As you'll see on the right side of my screen, we have so many different free assets available for you to download, things from toolkits that are specially geared for social media. There's one specifically for organizations and individuals who are looking to give back. And there's also one specifically for young people, and not necessarily just young people with lived experience, but any young person who's looking to take the opportunity to give back during National Runaway Prevention Month. These are really fabulous, well thought out toolkits that have a lot. We took a lot of time to keep in mind the things that have worked in previous years, things that we want to see changing in future years, and hopefully that'll be really beneficial for you to immediately jump in and start doing the fun work of sharing all of these things on your social media accounts. To the right of that social media toolkit are actually examples of some of our social media assets that we've made available to download. Those are all, again, free to download, and we have different versions of these that are moving and animated and exciting to watch and colorful and fun things like that. You can, again, download all of those things at 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM, which I just dropped into the chat. If you're not familiar with the National Runaway Safe Line, the National Runaway Safe Line is a crisis intervention service that connects with hundreds of that, like literally over 100,000 young people and concerned adults throughout the year who are looking at facing issues with homelessness or running away. Essentially, our mission is to keep young people off the streets, to keep it short. We offer free educational and outreach tools through our website, like just like the social media assets I was showing you, we have different resources available for you to download to spread the word about your own organization or the work that you do throughout the year, not just during National Runaway Prevention Month. And we also have different training available. We offer a volunteer training in person for our volunteers, but we also have what's called our Let's Talk Runaway Prevention curriculum, which is a 14-module curriculum that's available for free on our website. You can go to 1-800-runaway.org/let's talk to learn more about that. And outside of that, on our website, just so people kind of really grasp what we're doing, everything that we do is toll-free and confidential. So whether you're calling us or texting us, it's 100% free, it's confidential. All of our training helps the people who work our crisis lines be trauma-informed and solution-focused. We don't, we're non-judgmental and non-directive. So we want people to really understand that we're like, when you call into us, we don't have an expectation out of you. We don't expect that you do anything. We're here to listen and we're here to help you on your own terms. We also offer a messaging service, conference calls, and one of our trademark programs is the Home Free program, which is a partnership with Greyhound that allows us to help young people get back home if they found themselves in an undesirable situation or want to return home, or if they need to get out of a situation that they don't like, we help them through the Home Free program. And again, that's something that's free. They just call us and speak with one of our crisis services team members, and they will help them access that program. On our website, we have a few additional things. We offer a forum where young people can browse topics that have already been discussed to see what answers young people are getting from our crisis services team. This is a youth forum, so it's only young people asking questions and then they're being answered by our crisis services team. I already mentioned our free educational and promotional materials that are available. I'll share links for all of these things in the chat so that you can look at those after the call. And we'll also do a follow-up email that has all of that information. And then a couple of things that I do are the National Runaway Safe Line blog, which covers lots of different topics from the things that you should be donating to shelters if you want to donate to shelters at different times of the year, to celebrating our Volunteers of the Month. And then, of course, our Let's Talk podcast, which is me talking to either service providers or young people about real experiences. I have a 2-part episode with Kimberly Waller that's available now to listen to. You can also listen to that wherever streaming is available. And it is, of course, a fantastic episode. And you'll see why exactly after Kimberly has an opportunity to share with everyone. And with that in mind, I am going to show just one quick video to you all about National Runaway Prevention Month, and then I will pass things over to Kimberly Waller. Oh, wait, I just want to make sure everyone's going to be able to actually hear this because there are people really talking. I'm going to stop sharing really quickly and reshare to make sure you'll all be able to hear this also. Just like that. Here we go.
There are approximately 4.2 million young people living in the streets, in shelters, or couch surfing each year.
Youth experiencing homelessness face dangers on the streets and may have difficulty finding food, accessing healthcare, and remaining in school.
Youth homelessness is a very real problem affecting both urban and rural communities across America. About 1 in 30 teens between the ages of 13 and 17 experience homelessness each year.
These are classmates, friends, and other young people who may not have a safe place to go at the end of the school day.
It is critical that we work to prevent and ultimately end runaway incidents and youth homelessness.
One way to support young people is by joining National Runaway Prevention Month, or NRPM. Every November, the National Runaway Safe Line leads this important public awareness campaign to shine a light on the issues facing youth who have left home due to family conflict or other crisis, or have experienced homelessness or housing instability. It also is an opportunity to spotlight resources available to support youth and young adults and to empower communities to take action.
NRPM is successful because of the incredible community of partner organizations who participate in the campaign. Partner organizations and youth ambassadors from across the country are helping to spread the word and shine a light in their local communities about the issues facing young people who have run away or are experiencing homelessness, and the critical importance of prevention and the prevention work that we highlight during NRPM.
Partners share information and data on social media, host special events, engage local governments to issue proclamations, and light buildings in green, the color of NRPM, and so much more.
Join us as a National Runaway Prevention Month partner. NRS provides support and resources and invites partners to participate in several national events, such as the Twitter chat, Wear Green Day, and Project Greenlight.
Together, we can help young people reach their full potential and enjoy fulfilling lives.
For more information and to register as a partner, visit 1-800-RUNAWAY.org/NRPM. Oh, it's like surprise, surprise. I forgot that I was in that video and wasn't ready to look at myself. I wonder if Kimberly is also feeling the same thing.
Yes.
On that topic, I want to really quickly just give a shout out to some of the people in the video. So Rachel, who is a youth advisory board member featured in the video, is still on our youth advisory board doing lots of great work. And we honored her at our most recent Celebrating the Spirit of Youth annual fundraiser, because Rachel does an incredible amount of work in her community and in our community here in Chicago. Also, Melanie Hill, who you saw in the video, is now the chair of our board of directors. She is the first person of color to hold that position on our board. So that is an amazing step forward for our organization. And I can't share that information enough. I'm really proud of Melanie. So without further ado, I am going to pass things over to the fabulous Kimberly Waller, so you can finally stop listening to me and hear from some experts. All right, whenever you're ready, Kimberly, I am happy to control your presentation from here.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can just stick on this slide for a minute. So welcome everybody to the space. I love these lunch and learn environments because it gives everybody an opportunity to be a little bit more engaging in spaces like this. Phil and Tracy, thank you for being here and bringing your expertise to this conversation. Christopher, as always, you are a rock star, and I appreciate National Runaway Safe Line so much for the great work that you do this month and every single month across the year. And I see some of our Family and Youth Services Bureau colleagues on here, so just really appreciate this team. This team is passionate and committed this month and every month of the year. So just really proud to be here and proud to be part of this team. So as Christopher mentioned, I'm Kimberly Waller. I serve as the Associate Commissioner of the Family and Youth Services Bureau, which is the agency that funds the Runaway and Homeless Youth Program. And we are wonderful partners with the National Runaway Safe Line this month and support all of the activities and resources that are developed through the month. And really see it as an important time to renew our commitment to preventing and ending youth homelessness across the country. So I know this is not a new data point for most of us, but current national data tells us that we have about 4.2 million youth and young adults experiencing homelessness in the United States each year. That's a Chapin Hall report that I'm sure many people have seen over the last couple of years. So of course, the scale and impact of the problem, it makes it so important to focus both on having a robust crisis response system, but also to focus on prevention. So in a minute, I'm going to talk about a little bit of work that FISB is doing in this space to support the great work that you all do across the country. And really thinking about prevention in terms of investing in communities, investing in families, and investing in young people themselves, with the expectation that all young people have what they need to thrive, and that we really work together to avert crisis and instability before it happens. I know this all seems probably common sense, but federal government isn't always great at funding that kind of work. And so we want to be true partners with you in investing in this space. I wanted to bring some data as well from our end, from FISB, just to kind of give a scope of the scale of the work that we do. So in fiscal year 2022, which is the most recent RH-wide data that we've got available on numbers of youth that we serve, that's been published, is close to 50,000 young people being provided shelter and outreach services through RH-wide programs. We are currently funding this year 673 grants. So that's 301 basic center programs, 135 street outreach programs, 162 transitional living programs, 64 maternity group homes programs, and then I'll talk a little bit on a next slide, 11 brand new runaway and homeless youth prevention demonstration programs. And so those numbers are impactful, right? We know that the work done by these organizations is powerful. The work you do every day changes lives. And I'm also sure that I'm not the only one that sees the disconnect in the math here, with 4.2 million youth and young adults experiencing homelessness in the US in a year. And the numbers that we're able to serve, the need is greater than what runaway and homeless youth programs alone are able to meet. And I know you know that, you see that in your communities, you experience that. And for me, that is why National Runaway Prevention Month is such an important month. It gives us a collective opportunity to shine a light. I love that, to shine a light on the importance of preventing and ending youth homelessness across the country. It's our time to very strategically engage in conversations with both youth and families to ensure that there's knowledge of the available resources in everyone's communities, but it's also the opportunity for us with the collective voice to talk to community and local leaders, to talk to state leaders, to talk to congressional representatives, other organizations working with youth and families, and for us and FISB, other agencies whose maybe main mission and vision may not include the words youth homelessness, but who are absolutely essential partners to ensuring the success and safety of youth and young adults in crisis. We cannot do this alone, and NRPM gives us an opportunity to broaden our partnerships, to broaden our collaborations together. So we've got to talk about the issues with these people. We've got to talk about the scope of the problem. We've got to reach new partners that maybe we've never talked to before, and really see this as an opportunity for us to work together toward our collective goal of ending youth homelessness. So I want to say thank you to each of you for helping us shine a light. I know all of you are part of this, are engaged in this, are doing so much work across your communities. So Chris, go to the next slide. So what I wanted to do quickly before I kicked it over to our experts, Phil and Tracy, and the rest of the conversation, on the next slide, I just have some basics of where FISB is in terms of our priorities that we are invested in highlighting throughout NRPM and also throughout every other month of the year. Our collective priorities here are coordination and collaboration. We've already talked about this. We can't do this alone. Young people and families don't experience their lives in silos. We cannot, as government, so holding ourselves accountable and all of the work across the communities, do this work alone. Leading in partnership with youth and young adults with lived expertise. Christopher lifted up some of the work of the Youth Advisory Board. It's been such a joy to meet with that board on a regular basis. We meet with other boards across the country. We really try to engage in a meaningful and ongoing way, not just asking questions for question's sake, but to really do stuff with that information. And the FISB team is such a good partner in this space, in really doing this work well and strategically. We also have diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility as part of our priorities, both in our support to grantees doing this work, because you all are the leaders in this space, and also internally for us, ensuring that we are holding ourselves to the same standards. And then data-driven decision-making. Data is powerful. We have to use it wisely and use it well, using an equity lens, of course, and understanding that sometimes you can manipulate data using it. We want to understand what works well, what is not working well, and be okay with that, but make changes. It can be scary sometimes if you're looking at data and you're like, oh, it doesn't totally add up to what I thought it was going to be. It's good to know that information and drive change as a result. And then FISB workforce and work culture, creating positive and equitable workplace spaces, both within FISB and across all of our grantee networks. You can go to the next slide, and this is the second to last slide. I lied. So wanted to just, given that it is National Runaway Prevention Month, announce, we've already announced this in different spaces, but I'm trying to take opportunities where I can to really highlight a new initiative that the FISB team has pulled together and is leading on, the Runaway and Homeless Youth Prevention Demonstration Program, or PDP, or RHY PDP. We love our acronyms here. And really, it's an exciting opportunity where we're funding 11 organizations all across the country. Geographic diversity, backgrounds from these organizations is incredible. And the two things that they're really focusing on, in addition to other prevention interventions, is administering flexible cash assistance programs and tailoring case management services for youth who are identified as being at risk for experiencing homelessness. We commit to reporting out on the results of this. Demonstrations are opportunities for us to learn together. This information should not be a secret, and it will not be a secret. We will get it into the hands of those who are interested in learning more. We're expecting about a little over 4,600 youth and young adults being serviced by the prevention services through these. So really excited to see the impact that this has. And last slide now, wanted to just share, in line with our priorities and what we are going to be releasing over the NRPM month, is two pieces. The first is we've been in a pretty strong partnership with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. I know many of you either receive funding for them or work in communities that have HUD resources. So we are issuing new guidance to our grantees on ways our organizations can leverage HUD's Foster Youth to Independence Voucher Program, or the FYI program. There is truly a path to preventing young people who have former foster care experience from ever experiencing homelessness. It's challenging to do. This guidance will help our organizations understand how to leverage these dollars. Coordination and collaboration, understanding from the data what we're seeing is so crucial. Ensuring that young people have a voice at this table and help us understand what's working and what's not working well. So be on the lookout for that, for the release of that, and encourage you to take a moment to sit with it and read through. And then excitingly, in line with our DEIA work and leading in partnership with youth and young adults work, we're also going to be releasing new guidance and resources on delivering services and supports that meet the needs of youth and young adults experiencing homelessness who identify as LGBTQIA2S+ and related identities, including non-binary and gender non-conforming youth and young adults. Big thank you to the FISB team, to our Training and Technical Assistance Center, RITAC, for pulling this information together. It's incredible information. It's been youth-driven and co-designed. So look forward to the release of that during this month. And then we are also just announcing that we are co-designing new guidance with youth and young adults and with RHY grantees on ways to meaningfully and authentically lead in partnership with youth and young adults with lived expertise. So many of you are doing this work so well. It has been easy to find spotlights and good case studies. So I want to thank you for the work that you do in that space. We're excited to use this month to highlight these initiatives, to highlight these new resources, and to continue to work together to continue to shine a light on the importance of preventing and ending youth homelessness. So thank you, Christopher. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me the opportunity to walk through some things that I feel very, very excited about this month. I'm really glad to be here with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. I also just want to take a quick note. I know I'm already like causing us to go over time, but it's fine. I love that so many of us have, over the past few years, especially, like worked on DEI initiatives and even DEI and J initiatives. So adding the justice component. I love that FISB is always making sure that the accessibility component is included in everything that we do, from our presentations to the way that we appear on social media. If you're thinking about doing the work to be inclusive, then you have to include that accessibility component. And I'll get off my soapbox about that because I'm really excited to introduce our presenters for today, aside from Kimberly. We're going to start with Phil. Phil, of course, is the Chief Executive Officer of CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services, like I mentioned before. I don't want to steal your thunder and take your presentation, Phil, because I know you know how to sell it. But I will say that you serve 14 counties in Florida. There's only like 60-something counties. I'm not going to break that down into fractions because I have a Nashville education and the math is iffy. That's not against the Tennessee teachers. It's just me and my own struggle with math. But that's a lot of counties and that's a lot of people covered. So would you please, Phil, in your own words, just help everyone understand what CDS Family and Behavioral Services is and does, and however you would like for them to know you.
Sure. And Christopher, it's 67 counties in Florida. And we have 14 of the smallest rural counties. Gainesville is where I'm sitting, and that's the home to the University of Florida, and that's why I'm wearing an orange and blue shirt. You can't see it because of the way it works, but I'm also wearing my Shine a Light green pin that we all wear here during that month. CDS is a long-standing organization. We've been around since 1970, and we morphed through a couple of service iterations over time to get where we are. But our core functions, and part of that comes through Basic Center Grant, is we operate 3 youth shelters, one in Gainesville, Florida, one in Lake City, Florida, and one in Palatka. We have inside those a variety of wraparound services. So we've got counseling for the youth, individually, groups, and with their families, because ultimately we too are seeking family reconciliation and reunification. And we also have got a variety of behavioral management and delinquency related prevention programs. We are in the delinquency prevention spectrum of what is done of our greater service. We have a number of contracts that put us in a number of fields, but in this case, we, with regard to the shelters and regard to our community-based counseling and education, we deal with youth who are truant, runaway, an old term, it's in the statute, we don't like it, but it's in Florida statutes, ungovernable, truant, runaway, ungovernable, homeless, and trafficked through our various programs. And we are involved as well with Safe Space. We're the Safe Space coordinator for our part of the state. So that is a direct tie-in with SafeLine and the general RHY, the Basic Center Grant process. We are absolutely, positively not a closed door agency by our history and culture. If we do not serve adults, but we have had adults show up at our front door, and so we will guide them to the correct agency. And we've got a variety of statutory criteria for youth that we can work with. So when a youth comes in, and they can come in through Safe Space, they can come in through a variety of other referrals, like through schools, self-referrals, through our website and such. We do intakes and screenings to determine eligibility, and one of which that we do as well, and it ties into a lot of the work that you'll be hearing about from everybody here. We do suicide screenings as well to see. So if a youth is beyond the ability, we do behavioral health services, not mental health services. We don't have that license yet. We will get them to the right place. And by the way, DEI is really big with us as well. You can see from the last page what my background is. I come out of the for-profit world. I was a business, real estate, and finance lawyer, partner of a firm, and also a professor at the University of Florida in the business and real estate school, business and law school. And when I got here, I had been on the board for 11 years, shame on me. But I looked at what the board was, and we were 11 people, mostly people who look like me, older, white-haired males. And that's not representative of the communities we serve. So for a variety of organic reasons, we had 3 drop-offs, we're down to 8, and now we're at 19. And we have the full, we're working on it. We're not exactly where I would like to see us get to, but we do focus on the DEI. Our board is, they have the Title VII, inclusivity, diversity, but also in a place like where we are, I also need to have locational and professional diversity. So it's kind of a full-throated diversity. Are there areas that we're still working on? Yes, there are still areas that we are working on over time. Christopher, you're muted.
I love doing that thing where I'm just talking and I'm on mute. But thank you so much for sharing, Phil. Before we jump into the questions, I also want to give Tracy an opportunity to introduce herself and Advocates for Children, who is someone who has always on the top of our list when it comes to National Runaway Prevention Month, because it's really easy to see them out and doing the work. So Tracy, whenever you are ready, take it away.
So that's going to be a tough act to follow behind Phil. I don't think that I have quite the experience as he does, but my name is Tracy. I am one of the shelter managers with Advocates for Children for our Flowering Branch Children's Shelter. I'm also the Runaway and Homeless Youth Coordinator for our Runaway and Homeless Youth program with FISB. I have been with Advocates for a little over 11 years, and I have been working with or in the Runaway and Homeless Youth portion of it and Safe Place for probably 5 or 6 of those years. Advocates is celebrating its 40th year this year, so we're super excited about that. Advocates actually started with the need in the community. You know, so some women got together and they saw that there was a need for an emergency shelter for youth that were experiencing homelessness or who had run away, and there were no programs at that time serving those youth, and so that's how we actually started. So we have about 7 different programs within the agency. And so Flowering Branch and the Runaway and Homeless Youth Program are 2 of those programs. We focus a lot on prevention. Within our program, we have about 170 Safe Place sites that we manage and oversee because we're in 11 counties. You know, we serve 11 different counties here in northern Georgia. And so that can become a little bit difficult. However, a lot of our referrals come from those Safe Place sites, especially the schools. And so we're super excited about the growth that we have seen in that program. As far as the services that we provide, once we have a youth in our shelter, we have an education coordinator on site. We also have an independent living coordinator on site. And those are very important roles because we have direct care staff as well who work directly with the youth, and they supervise the youth and they take them to appointments. But the education coordinator really makes sure that the youth coming into those programs are receiving the educational needs that they deserve. You know, whether it is getting them back on track, whether it's enrolling them in school, and just absolutely providing them with tutoring assistance. As far as our independent living coordinator, that's also a very vital piece because many of the youth that enter our program, you know, they don't have the skills that they would need to be able to thrive in the community. And so we're teaching job-related skills and how to find available resources in the community. And sometimes we're just teaching basic hygiene needs and skills. So those are the different, some of the different things that we do once they arrive. Of course, we're providing them with referrals to mental health services after we speak with them, and that is something that they wish to do. So yeah, that's a little bit about our program. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm super excited to be here.
Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now because we have a bunch of beauties here and we all deserve to be seen. But I want to go ahead and jump into the question portion of our Lunch and Learn today. And again, there will be an open question and answer section kind of towards the end, but I do have a few questions that I want to make sure to get through off the rip. I'm going to start kind of by piggybacking off of something that I heard you say, Tracy, is like one of the things that you guys offer, aside from, of course, safety and comfort, is hope. That's such a big thing here, is like helping young people feel like there is hope out there. And we're constantly trying to think, like, how do we make sure that National Runaway Safe Line is something that comes to mind when a young person is maybe feeling hopeless, they don't know where to go. And we're in a big city like Chicago, and you guys both, Phil and Tracy, are in more rural areas. What are some of the particular challenges of getting the word out in these more rural areas? And why don't we start with you, Tracy, since you're still like hot off the mic.
So yeah, so we're very rural. So we do not see youth that may be experiencing homelessness gathered in particular areas around, you know, around our community. We do have a few encampments that we've located, but a lot of times we don't see the youth age requirements that we serve. So we're a base level center, so we serve under the age of 18. So we have to rely heavily on partnering with people in the community. We partner with other shelters in our community. But a lot of our youth that we see couch surf. And so really having strong relationships with the other shelters, but also the homeless liaisons within the school systems, having those strong relationships really helps us to get the word out, and it helps us with identifying youth that may either be experiencing homelessness or maybe they're at risk of homelessness, since we don't see the congregations of youth that you may see in larger cities.
You brought up something that I want to come back to, which is partnerships. But before that, do you have anything to add, Phil?
Yes, I have a feeling that Tracy's and our demographics are probably pretty similar. We're rural. Gainesville, they consider Manhattan. And so that's the big city in this part of the state. Issues of distance and travel and communications, getting people to our programs or getting our programs to people can be a challenge. We do work. We work with partnerships and relationships quite a bit, particularly with areas like the schools. Although we have confronted periodically an issue, it's kind of a newer issue, at least to me, is relationships are critical here. Who knows who? It's the good old network. Breaking into some things can be a challenge in a rural community where there's not too many providers or folks who do the services that we do and that I bet Tracy's organization does. But by careful and consistent and frankly true communications, relationship building, showing that you can deliver on what you promise. Once you're in, and you're in for life. So it can take a long time to cultivate, but once we're in, and we can do the services that we do. But distance and travel is a big issue for us.
I understand. Something that both of you guys mentioned was the importance of partnerships. Can you, specifically you, Tracy, because I know you guys have some partnerships and sponsors. Can you talk about like how you've tapped into those partnerships and how they help kind of elevate your campaign or make it a win-win for everyone, if you know what I mean?
Yes. So really and honestly, it is just getting out there. It's making the phone calls, it's showing up, it's attending meetings. We have a wonderful development department here, and so we kind of rely heavily on them too, because while I may know some community partners just in this field, they know a lot more than I do. And so a lot of times I will reach out to them and they'll help me bridge that gap a little bit. I attend homeless liaison meetings, and so that helps us stay connected with the schools. I also attend what's called, for our area, I'm not sure if everyone has this, but we have LIPT, which is local interagency planning team meetings. And so those on there's a lot of different resources within the community. And so we're all able to come on, give ideas, share if we have available space, share how we can help one another out in the community. So that's very important. We have our development department does well with our social media. And so honestly, that's how sometimes we're able to get more partnerships. It's a win-win because, for instance, especially for this month, we do a lot of different activities. We plan a lot of different things. And we include some of our partners in on that. And we do a lot of social media blast. And so if we're partnering with, say, for instance, a retail shop owner who has a lot of following in the community, we may do an interview with him about this month and share it on our social media and tag him. Well, that in turn brings a lot of response in from that. And so then we have other businesses saying, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this? You know, we may be interested. And so that's how we've been able to kind of build up our sponsors and our partners.
Christopher, one thing that we've discovered is it comes out of the business world, but it's the concept of patient capital. These relationships are longitudinal, and you've got to be patient. They can take quite a long time to cultivate and bear fruit. Here's a practical tip that we have done. Our boardroom is a very nice size. And so we offer to other organizations the ability to we host meetings there for other folks so that they know that we're there and that we know that we are open to assisting them. So we've done that. We're going to continue to doing that. And if you want to, you have to be a reliable and sincere partner, which means if you want to get something, there's a quid pro quo, another legal term, but quid pro quo, you got to give something. And so we tend to try to give first, and then things will come from there. And another business term, I guess, is you've got to be nimble and agile as to what appears in the marketplace, not in the marketplace, what appears out in the world, and act on it. Example, today I was at a meeting, a Rotary Club meeting, and there was a presentation by a group focused on young female youth development, and they're doing a movie. And I reached out to their person. We have 3 shelters. I said, how about you show the movie at each of our shelters? She immediately jumped on it, and boom, new relationship.
Amazing. And both of you are touching on like really how easy it is to get people involved. People want to do the work, right? People want to pitch in their community, but sometimes it's about the access. Like, how do I find out about these things? How do they come to me? It's on us in a lot of cases to spread the word and make sure people know that the opportunities to volunteer or to support an organization are out there. And also to combat the stigma about like what it is to volunteer or what it is to support an effort like National Runaway Prevention Month. I just did an interview with our volunteer of the month at National Runaway Safe Line, and she talked about how the first thing people ask her when she talks about National Runaway Safe Line is like, oh, did you save any kids today? Are you saving any lives? And it's like, in my opinion, of course, we're all like, everyone on this call is a hero in some way, but that we all recognize that like the whole savior mentality is not what young people need. It's not really what they want either. They just want somebody to be able to talk to. It's the same thing with volunteers. Most people are really down to earth and really excited about being able to help. It's just all about making it feel like it's an approachable opportunity. So I encourage everyone to really put yourself out there, do exactly what Tracy and Phil mentioned, and just reach out to other local organizations to see how they can support you and lean into the things that they're good at instead of trying to make them conform to what you want to do. And kind of piggybacking off of what you mentioned, Phil, you have spent a career working in a variety of fields. What have you learned about your work that it takes to engage others on the issues pertaining to youth experiencing crisis?
Well, I want to back up for 1 second before
Go ahead.
answering that question. Is we have a slogan motto that we like to use because again, we're pre-delinquency. So we like to say we don't have bad kids. We have kids who are in bad circumstances, and that's what we like to do. I mean, I suppose this is not about me. I'm just the spokesperson for our organization. So in terms of a career change, for me, it came organically. I was asked and I thought about it. Very long story short, because again, it's not about me. My wife and I started when we lived in Miami as volunteers at the adult homeless shelter, Camilla's House. And we washed dishes and cooked in the kitchen, and eventually it ended up with, she already does the good work. She's an ESE, speech language pathologist in elementary school with autistic kids. But for me, it ended up ultimately resulting in a career change. I don't know if that hits your question. You're muted again.
That's my thing. I'm like trademarking it. Okay, so but what is it that, if you had any advice for other people who are working in the corporate world but want to be involved in nonprofits or and with opportunities to help like young people that are experiencing crisis, for instance, what advice do you have for them for breaking out of the mold and like trying something new, doing something different?
Okay, well, if you want to get into that conversation, as for myself, I come out of the Chamber of Commerce world, and I'm a Chamber of Commerce board member still. It's the core pitch I use is we are looking for partners and people who have a heart for children, youth, and families. And that's that's a low-hanging fruit, because how do you say you don't have that? When I need to get into it deeper with folks, is I will explain that in the end, if we do our job right in our shelters and our counseling programs, we're a workforce development program. Ultimately, once the kids get back on the track and they focus on their own self-investment and education, they are going to give an ROI to the community, return on investment, in terms of being, well, employees, entrepreneurs, whatever it would be. That's not the usual pitch that I did, but you asked me what I do when I'm speaking in the business community. Is I use one of the challenges I forgot before is a jargon shift. And here's where you see it, is you've got to modify what we do to the language that you want your partners. So again, nimble, agile, you've got to be able to learn and adjust very quickly. So if you're in the business community, speak in terms of ROI, speak in terms of prospective employees.
Yeah. Oh, even thinking about that, like kind of looking at it from a different perspective, Tracy, thinking about that, but with young people, I know that you've engaged with different safe place locations like Kona Ice to raise awareness and also make your NRPM campaign like a little more lighthearted. What advice can you give others about bringing some fun to the campaign that raises awareness about what's really, quite frankly, like a sensitive and heavy subject?
So we like to do a bit of a mixture. So we do kind of hit with some of the seriousness of it, but we do usually add a fun spill to it, and that just helps to capture your audience a little bit.
She's frozen, so until she unfreezes, I guess I'll keep it.
Can you hear me?
Oh wait,
now,
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know what all you heard, but I would say our community responds well to a little bit of both. So we have a little bit of fun with a lot of seriousness as well. So we do things with Kona Ice because they are a safe place partner with us. And so this year they have created another fun icy for us. It's called You Are My Sunshine, but it's always in the colors of National Runaway Homeless Youth Prevention Month. They did one last year and they called it Be the Light. So they always do something fun, and they typically bring it to our shelter for our kids to enjoy. One year we did something fun with Hippie Donuts, who was a safe place partner with us. And they did a donut with the light bulb on there and put it on display. And so that was really fun. And like I said, we partner with some of our community partners. We have someone who they have a clothing novelty store, and they're a safe place site as well, but they have big personality, I was saying earlier. And so we will have them do an interview, but in it there may be some bloopers at the beginning or something fun, or even at the end, and then they'll hit them with, hey, did you know, kind of thing, and even kind of get try to get other people that he knows within the business to join kind of in our campaign. So I think it's fun to get I think it's good to do something fun with this campaign instead of it just being all serious. I think that you can capture more of an audience.
Absolutely. And from the partners that I hear that are doing the coolest stuff, the things that really catch our attention online, are partnering with places like Kona Ice. I mean, if you don't know what Kona Ice is, you probably don't live in a warmer climate or like the beach. But Kona Ice is like a shaved ice place, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So yes. It's just like they're leaning into what they already, like Kona Ice isn't going out and hanging up 100 green lights on their building. They're leaning into what they do and making green shaved ice. It's actually a really pretty like yellow green because it's called You Are My Sunshine, right?
Yeah, You Are My Sunshine, yeah.
I'm gonna like have to go find shaved ice today for that.
I want to keep. Can I say one thing too, Tracy? I love those examples. Those are just fantastic examples. And one thing that I would love to offer into this space is FISBE's been doing a lot of conversations around what language we use when we're talking about young people. They're so easy to fall into the deficit focused language, which I think is connected to this conversation in terms of like, how do you narrate this in a in a positive, strength-based opportunity way, as opposed to like doom and gloom, no hope, scary stuff, really hard to process stuff. So I just really appreciated the stuff that you brought into the space, and just, like reiterating that FISB takes very seriously to the language that we use. And I like the idea of bringing creativity into it. So I think you're giving me some ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question that I want to leave out there before we open the general Q&A, but Phil, earlier you were ready to jump in like lightning. So I feel like you have something really good to add.
No, I was just trying to cover while Tracy's Zoom came back on. So,
oh, a true professional in chivalry too. Okay.
Again, I was a lawyer and I was a professor, so I can talk.
That's fair. It's a skill, and not everyone has it. As you can see, I am also much of a talker. Now, the last question I want to ask you guys is building a supportive community. Actually, we kind of already touched on that. We've talked a lot about like the importance of partnering in your community. Why is it important for your organization and the communities that you are in to actively participate in National Runaway Prevention Month? And how can it drive a positive change for young people and their families? And you also, Kimberly, feel free to jump in with this question, because I know you'll have a good answer for that too. First come, first serve. Feel free to jump in.
Okay.
So
well,
I'll go. Oh, you go, Phil. Go ahead.
You can't give Phil
you
the chance.
first.
You gotta go.
I was going to say, I think it's very important for the community to get involved, for our partners to get involved. I like for our partners to have a say, so it gives them more of a buy-in to our program. When we include them, it also helps them to understand the important work that we do. Sometimes they may just say, sure, we'll help you, partner, but they may not fully understand everything that we do. So allowing them to join in on this campaign, I think gives them more of a buy-in. We always do certain things around this month, but we always typically have a theme with the schools, because we want the schools to have a buy-in as well. We want them to understand what our program is and what the service is when they refer someone, what these youth are getting. This year we're doing a Spread Loving Kindness Together initiative for this month. I mean, obviously the light is the theme is shine a light, but we put a little bit of a spin on it, because we're trying to gather toiletry items so that we can give to youth and their families who may be at risk. And so we have shopping carts in some of our local schools that have Runaway and Homeless Prevention Month adorned around the carts, and have our Safe Place logos and things like that around it. It's being blasted on the morning announcements. And so the faculty and the staff know about it, but it gives them a buy-in as well. And it helps the students, also kind of know, because some of them may not be experiencing them, but it helps give them the knowledge that there are some youth who may be experiencing this, and gives them the opportunity to help with our campaign. And so we ask them to bring in toiletry items that will be stocked in our resource center and given at some of the extended stay hotels for youth that may be at risk.
That's awesome.
I think the thing that I would bring to that, like just hearing both Tracy and Phil, you both talk about the work that you all are doing, is that while this is of course the important month, like these relationships it's necessary to build them throughout the year. Like if, there's clearly so much planning that has gone in, Tracy, to the stuff that you were just talking about, working with schools, getting those morning announcements out there, planning these events. So we, with FISB and our partnerships with other federal agencies, it takes a lot of like team building and growing that capacity to get to that November month, for them to be engaged and want to be, have that buy-in, have that relationship already, and then get really excited for the November month.
Anything to add, Phil?
Well, we too have a theme that we use. Of course, we follow the NRPM month, but we have our own called Communication is Key. And, your Susan is coming to be our keynote speaker tomorrow at our annual meeting and celebration And so we've got that title, and we've got some keys all over the place. Everything is in green. But to get back to, I think the original question is, what we all do. It's an easy ask for a hard topic, but we also can't undersell the importance of it. It's pablum if we just say the children are our future, and then we can start to sing. Again, perhaps it's the venue that I came out of, but I really, again, jargon, language is really important. You've got to be able to adjust to you would talk to high school kids differently than you talk to college kids, differently than you talk to a business community, different than you talk perhaps to the professional community. But in the end, when we're out to the grown-up world, it's not hard to say that, the children are going to be here after us, and we want to build their capacity, as Kimberly said. And to do that, we need responsible, serious adults who are willing to underlie and help them. Again, leading to family reconciliation and reunification. It really is not a hard ask for a difficult topic. And by the way, we do similarly to what Tracy's. We've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 social media outlets. And so we are constantly, November's our month too. Everything is green here this month. Wait till Susan tells you the color of socks I wear tomorrow. But we're always trying to pitch. We thank people a lot on our social media outlets constantly. And from a marketing perspective, thanking someone before asking them works really well because they know they're pre-appreciated. And so, but we are all over the place all year, but particularly this month. This month, we will do, 2, 3 different postings for different things pretty much every day of the week. And when I say we, I'm our webmaster now. So, I get to pay, I get paid to play on social media as an old person. But it's language, it's jargon, and it's letting people know they are appreciated.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. I know that we're a little bit behind. I still want to hold space for a question and answer portion, but just out of respect for everyone's time, it is 1:27. So if you have a meeting that starts at 1:31, it's time, and adjust for your time zone accordingly. I am in Central Time. Before we jump into this question and answer survey, for everyone within the sound of my voice, if you have not already, make sure to register as a National Runaway Prevention Month partner. I think that you just should, because I want you to, but also because you're already doing the work. By being here on this call and seeing our faces and listening to this conversation, you are doing the work. There is no commitment to being a National Runaway Prevention Month partner, other than you're basically saying that you will not stand for the fact that 4.2 million young people experience homelessness every year, that young people experience these crises and feel hopelessness. So I will drop a link in the chat now because I have good timing. And if you could just take a moment to go ahead and register. If you don't feel comfortable registering your organization, register yourself. Get your kids to sign up. No pets. It has to be a real person. We love pets though, so share pictures of your pets in green for Wear Green Day. But I will stop talking, and if anyone wants to ask any questions, you can feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will use my lovely golden flawless voice to ask them for you. Or you can unmute yourself and ask yourself, because you probably also have a lovely voice. So feel free, everyone, to just jump in. I see Michelle Thomas. Go ahead and jump in with that raised hand.
Yeah, hi everyone. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot. My name is Michelle. I work at a nonprofit here in Chicago as well. And I just have, I guess, kind of an unrelated question, but it'll tie in. And it's a pretty loaded question. So if there's no response, I totally understand. But so I've been working in the field for about 13, 14 years and recently shifted into more of a supervisory role. And I'm just looking for some advice or feedback. Our agency is experiencing such a high rate of turnover, and like amongst all of the good work that's being done, people are dropping like flies. And I'm just looking for some advice on how to keep your staff motivated to fight the good fight and keep, putting in the good work for our organization and for the young people. So I'm open to any feedback or expertise, guidance from you all. I know that's a loaded question, but it's been on my mind. Thank you.
What we do, you have to recognize that our people in what we do are overworked and underpaid. So what can we offer them is you have to offer them sincere appreciation. And just like you pitch to prospective donors, you have to have a heart for children, youth, and families. Same thing here is you are not a cog in the wheel. You are making, you're literally, figuratively, actually making an impact on kids' lives. Let me give one quick story on that. Is when I first started, we did an open house at one of our shelters, and we had new board members and people from the community come in. And at the end, they had two, they were probably high school students, I would guess, from looking at them. And they asked them, what's your impressions of being here? And it's a loaded question. You don't know what they're going to say, but they said three things. One is we like the attention that adults are giving us. Two, we like the food. And three, the third one really was very scary, and I'm sure that Kimberly has heard it and seen it, is they said, knowing they're in a shelter on a bunk bed, they're saying it's quiet and we can get actual rest. How hard does someone's life have to be that staying at a runaway shelter a better choice in certain degrees to get rest? It ties back to the first one, getting respect, but it's quiet and they can rest.
I'll kind of piggyback a little bit. We have we've noticed that as well. Some of the things that we do, we have monthly staff meetings. In those, we do fun icebreakers. So because we're going to be talking about some serious stuff with the kids and updates, we always do something fun for the staff and giving them a voice. We also do quarterly staff outings. And so that means that myself and the other shelter manager, we're going to run the floor. We're going to send all the staff out. They're going to have a good time away from work so that they can spend some time together and get to know one another outside of work. And so then we're going to work their shifts for them. We do things around the house too, like words of affirmation. So we leave that positivity for the staff and just letting them know kind of what we see in them. But one of the best things that actually one of the other managers just did with some of our staff was she met with our kids individually and she kind of asked them their take on the staff. And she wrote it down, kind of what they said. And then we read it aloud to each staff individually. And that absolutely made their day. So it really, and some of them cried. They were just like, oh, okay, so I'm coming to work and these kids really kind of see what I'm doing, and they care. And so that helped a lot, I would say, with retention.
We do some just like you all. We've got little buckets in each of our shelters where either the kiddos who are there or the other team members, we don't call people staff here, the team members, they can put a note in about another team member and then they read them aloud at their monthly meetings. And we have the same impact. It ends up the same as Tracy said. So we're doing something pretty much the same.
Yeah, Michelle, I think I just want to acknowledge your question and acknowledge the struggle. I've heard that as a consistent challenge with traveling across the country and meeting with different organizations. And, I don't think that there's an easy button to push, of course, but I really like the examples here of non-monetary acknowledgements, awarenesses, recognitions of staff can go a really long way. I'd also recommend, as people transition, if people do transition, doing some exit interviews of just those honest questions of why are you transitioning? What is there anything we could have done that would have helped you stay? I do suspect Phil is right that a lot of it is it's an unfortunately very challenging job with oftentimes low salaries or low pay. My other thing that I would say, and I don't think this might be easier said than done, but I've talked with a couple of organizations that have leaned into public-private partnerships where they find funders who are interested in engaging with them, and they even if the philanthropic organization can't directly fund staff, they can bring support dollars in that frees up money from other places of the budget that can go to support staff. So I don't know what your community looks like with that, but there's, national organizations that are philanthropic partners. And then some surprise organizations that you're like, oh, I wouldn't have even really thought that you would want to get engaged in this, but they do,
Well, bingo, Kimberly. One of the things that our management team sees is, I'm sorry, we've got state and federal contracts, and you all have a lot of strings attached to those contracts with the funds, limitations on our use, but that impacts, among other things, compensation and benefits. So we are starting to look, instead of, hear me now, we just got our PCG renewed. We want to keep it with you all, keep those relationships. So instead of adjusting the pie, we are expanding the pie, looking to outside funding for unrestricted funding, and then we can engage in some more creative management with compensation, benefits, and frankly, program development. Yeah.
I'll add one thing to this, because I'm a millennial. If you're working with millennials who are the neediest people on the planet, or if you're working with Gen Zers who are the most brutally honest people on the planet, they just want you to agree, saying that, hey, I hear you. This work is really tough sometimes. We have a lot going on. You'd be surprised at how far it can go to just feel understood and to feel heard. Okay, I want to take the time to acknowledge the time. It's
Thank you all.
1:07. Thank you so much, Michelle, for chiming in and asking. I want to give everyone the space to, if you need to leave, to do so without feeling any type of shame. Time is very valuable, and I understand that. Also for our presenters, I will personally stay on for a few more minutes to capture any additional questions. Panelists, you're welcome to stay on as well. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or to just unmute yourself and go wild, ask whatever you would like. Hopefully on topic a little bit.
Well, Christopher, one thing that we talked about, you and I directly, and Lexi, not here, is in order to have our folks heard in the workers, is I sent you a discussion presentation. We've inverted the traditional management pyramid. Usually it's the CEO and COO at the top. No, we don't have limousines, helicopters, or boats here, but they are always considered the most important. And in our organization, myself, my partner, the COO, we are the least important people in the organization. The most important is the base of now the inverted pyramid, who are the workers, who interact directly with the children, youth, families, and communities. And we generate ideas. Look behind me and you see our logo. That came from our team directly. We were having impact issues regarding people didn't know who we were, even though we'd been around 53 years. My joke is we were the largest, oldest nonprofit in this part of the state that no one ever heard of. So we had to go ahead and work. And so we put together a team of our workers, our quote unquote line workers. Neither the COO nor I were on that committee. I'm not going to ever say if I like what's there or not, but I do. But that and our mission statement came from our people directly. So that's part of the recognition of the folks that you work with and listening to them.
Anyone want to nab at the final words? All right, I'm recognizing the time. I want to thank everyone for spending this extra amount of time with us. I also am realizing how an hour is almost a hilarious amount of time to try to have this type of conversation. Probably should allocate for more time next year, but a lot of great information coming out in a very short period of time. For everyone that's still on, we will send out a follow-up email that whenever we can get this video uploaded online, that'll have a link to watch it, and also more information about CDS and more information about Tracy and Advocates for Children. So don't fret. We have all of it prepared and beautifully packaged for you to make it a little bit easier. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everyone again. I will stay on until everyone is off the call. So if you wanted to wait and secretly ask me a question when no one else is on, I will be here for you. But again, thank you everyone for joining. And next week, same time, same different Zoom link, but you should all have gotten the email already for our next partner call, which will be again next Thursday at the same time. I'll drop a link in for that too.
Nice to meet you, Tracy.
You as well.
Blessed day, everybody.
You too. Thank you so much. That's so nice. I'm just staring at this Kona ice picture.
It's cute.
It's only 50 degrees here, but I'm like,
it's super cute. Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a fun thing that we do.
Tonight we're bringing Susan to, you have to live in Tracy does, an SEC area and region.